Uh, I love that, Leilani. I'm so grateful to be here and doing this interview with you. And again, thank you for the opportunity. Um, well, let's just get right into it. You demonstrate this living the life of your dreams because you have homes in both Hawaii and here, and you run three businesses. The question is how did you do it?
Yeah, so I really credit a lot of my foundation to having mentors. I've had two excellent mentors. I've had 27 years of Kundalini yoga and meditations. Of course, living on the island of Kauai itself is, Dalai Lama said you have to be at mastery level to be living on Kauai. So I'm so passionate about helping people to live the life of their dreams just because I know that everybody can do it. Nobody gifted this to me. It's a combination of actually having the vision and having the hard work and overcoming the self-sabotage and just believing that you really can have the life of your dreams. There's so many people that, so if we were to make it really basic, three of the basic steps would be, first of all, having the vision. Second, releasing any false responsibilities. And third, the practice, the different practices that get you into that bring the vision that basically bridge the gap for you, whether it's with the practices, with the mentor, coming into immersion to actually learn how to feed that dream and planting the seeds. And I've just seen, so I've been blessed to give 116 retreats in 10 years, and I've taught to another 7,000 people. And I see so many times people would just say to me, oh, you're so lucky because you live on Kauai. And then you're so lucky because you live Kauai and Sedona. And luck really has nothing to do with it. So, the three of the key basics, when we talk about the vision, making that visual, dream big. It's whatever you want. And we just use this as an example. It may not necessarily be living in two places. Maybe that's not your dream. We're just using this. Maybe the dream is for somebody to run, 3 marathons and win them every year. So we all have these, life is going on, and the question is, how do we rise above the obstacles, both the inner and the outer obstacles, to fulfill that dream?
But you said you're living your dream by living in the two places. How did you find these two places? How did you find Kauai, and how did you find Sedona? What was it that kind of inspired you to go, oh, look at this place, look at this place?
Yeah, and of course, everyone, again, giving so many retreats on both these places, almost everyone that arrives at these places would love to stay, So, part of the answer is hard work, and then also meditations and also connections. So when I did move to Kauai in 2008, I actually had a huge real estate portfolio. I have a big background in business, and that's one of my companies is a real estate company. And really, it's getting rid of the false responsibilities. At that time, when I did move in 2008, I had 20 homes in Phoenix, and I thought, oh, how is this ever going to work? How could I possibly release myself from this? And there's always a way. And sometimes people think that they can't do things because of their family or all these constructs that they've set up for themselves in their mind. So just like anything in life, the question is, how do we overcome the mind? And the daily meditation is a fantastic way to do that. Any meditation you do, when you do it 11 minutes a day, that brings you into neutral mind. So everybody has negative mind, positive mind, but we want to get to neutral mind. And when we get to neutral mind, that's how really the answer and the opportunities are presented to us. So I'm not going to go into the full story, but it was definitely guided by spirit to get there. And then I find that with so many things, and it's that combination of, we have the divine idea, and then spirit, source, whatever you call it, starts showing us the ways that this can be possible. And then people often don't have the courage to move forward into that momentum. So, great example, this one of my clients, she was a school teacher, and so young at the time, late 20s, she always wanted to go to Italy, 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 Italy. So we finally manifest for her 3 weeks in Italy, 3 weeks free lodging, Verona opera season, amazing. And then she invites me to go with her, which was a nice reward. And the next day she says, I need to meet you, we can't go. And I said, well, why can't we go? And she goes, I don't have the airfare. And I said, well, let me get this straight. You just manifested 3 weeks of lodging for free, and now you don't think you can get the airfare? So then we went into step 2, but that happens all the time, where they manifest maybe the first part of it, of the dream, and then it starts to fall into place, and then the self-sabotage is like, oh, I can't do that because of XYZ. So then we got to get through the next level. And that's why, whatever it is, either the business coaching or the spiritual coaching or the full retreat helps get you through the whole process.
Well, that comes back to the next question, because people would call that abundance, like, oh, again, I don't have the abundance to do this. But as you had said before, abundance comes in many forms. Tell me, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, the abundance is being where I want to be, when I want to be there, with who I want to be. So just being able to move freely around the planet, and I mean totally free, to accept invitations, whatever it is, to work on films in LA or films in Sedona, or coaching in person at different cities in the US. And it's the luxury of free time. And I know for myself, as a recovering workaholic, especially speaking to all the business entrepreneurs, is, we're creators, and we can create and create and create, and the creations are endless, especially when you're tapped into source. And at some point, we need to stop and really discern if we want to get into the next creation, and what is the time commitment for that. So I've started my currency is my time, and giving the idea of the luxury of free time, which I think is a new idea for a lot of people. And when we have all these different platforms and businesses of success, to really come into the luxury of free time and allowing ourselves playtime. So when I moved to Kauai, I started surfing. I started surfing at age 41, and I love it. I dig it. I'm out there every day, whether it's 2 foot or 10 foot. And I had, as we do with business owners, we have, some lows, and it was the crash of '08, and I was sitting at Hanalei Bay, and I was looking at the surf, and, there were more financial challenges going on, and I was on the phone trying to solve something, and I was trying to push the river, and I just was looking at that surf and thinking how much I love it, and I just was on the call, and I said, you know what, forget it. And at that moment, I hung up the phone, I went out, had a great surf session, and I said, from now on, I'm going to value my surf session at $500 a session. Like, I was so used to valuing, money, like I do this and this, or I sell this house and I get this, or this form of energy called money. And then when we start understanding that energy is in so many different ways and brings us joy in so many different ways, so the energy of the waves in the surfing, value anywhere between $500 to $5,000 a session, depending on what's happening out there. So I love to give people that idea of valuing their hobbies and new hobbies, or just open space. And I think that's a new technique to add value to whatever it is, your morning workout program, or when we go to church, or whatever it is, just valuing that. If you need to put a number on it, it's just kind of a fun way to look at things in a different way.
Well, prayer and meditation, my day doesn't start without my prayer and meditation. It has to have a value. I didn't actually think of putting like money on it, but yeah, if I didn't have it, I couldn't be who I am every single day consistently, connected to my higher powers, and also having that center point. I like what you said about having, the negative and positive thoughts, having that center point. That's absolutely brilliant. So when it comes to, basically having the luxury of free time, how does one acquire that?
Well, your daily meditation would be a great foundation for that. So your meditation, I teach active meditations to release frustration, release anxiety, and to get clarity. So, and the daily meditations that I share are really the number one thing that can give you more time in your day. And I think that's what everybody really wants, is more time in their day, right?
Yeah.
More time for their
Yeah.
family, more time to create, more time to play. So ideally, whether it's through a session or through a week-long retreat, you get your specific 11-minute meditation, and then you go into the silence after. And I know that you know this, because I know, we're the same. We don't walk out our front door unless that daily meditation. I have one meditation I've done for 17 years straight. So that's what I really attribute having that luxury of free time. And then you can end up choosing different choice points in the meditation too for what it is that you're creating, right? But we're actually bringing it's in the quantum, and that's the magic and the alchemy of it, is how do we bring it from the quantum, from the idea, into that's physically in our life now, of living in the places that you want to be, of being with your divine right mate, of just a feeling of such joy and peace and love, and having an overflow of energy to easily serve others. And that to me is abundance.
I agree. Before I started meditating, I thought, how can I spend any time meditating? I lived so much in linear time about I need to have this much time to get this done. It had to look this way, and if it didn't look this way, I couldn't be happy, because I lived in more chaos than I knew, and I didn't realize actually adding first off 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, then 20 minutes, and I get to 22 minutes to 26 minutes is what I set my clock for every day. And I just don't do anything. I just sit in my meditation. And I get some of the best downloads, some of the best inspirations come during that. Can you speak to that? Can you speak to that, about inspiration coming during meditation?
Yeah, and what I find is it not only comes during the meditation, you'll notice it later in the day. So when you're driving or you're in a somewhat meditative, and I get the answers to so many business challenges and new business ideas coming through that meditation. And if you think of it, it's like we're opening up space to say, help me. I know that I don't have all the answers. So it's opening up that space to receive the answers.
What I discovered, this is just through my own experience, that it freed up more time for me, because I didn't have to struggle trying to figure things out. It more was revealed to me effortlessly. And that's my new word these days, effortless. Because if it's effortless, it comes from God. And that's what I call my higher self.
Yes.
And it's attempting to guide me as long as I can get my fear-based thoughts out of the way. What do you experience?
Effortless abundance,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's beyond being in the flow. But when we have that kind of connection point, so, again, I'm very practical, I'm very common sense. I have this background in the spiritual, but even with whatever it is, with the coaching or the retreats, it's this weaving of the intellect and the intuition together. So yes, we do the daily meditation. Yes, ideally it'll be 11 minutes active, 11 minutes silent, or the silent. And then you step out into the world and you take action. So it's never just sitting doing only the meditation. It's the weaving of the two, and that's where the alchemy happens. And so if you can get a coach to give you a roadmap for how to get, because again, with my coaches and my mentors, that's how I like the shortcut. I want the shortcut. I don't want to spend 30 years trying to figure out, hey, I see, I used to have buyers that came in and they had 20 properties. And I thought, well, gosh, if they have 20 properties, I could have 10. So inspiring each other of living the life of our dreams.
Wow. Again, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you. And it hasn't really been that long. It was during the great COVID when I met you. And we were both like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I remember you had come over from Kauai because nobody could get into Kauai. And
Well, that's not really why I came. I came because I was sent by Spirit.
understand.
Yeah, so I don't really get into, I just, and as I've given retreats in 5 different locations, 116 retreats, I really feel and know and love it to be not from my mind, but also it's just divinely guided. So this was where I was divinely guided to come without any judgment on anything. And through being here, I love it because that's how the Sedona retreats I had lived in Arizona for 19 years before, and it was just a great way to reconnect in with this community. And yeah, it's a hub. It's such a beautiful point to serve people from. And all the places that I give the retreats are vortexes.
Correct.
So
I was going to say that's one of the reasons that you said you were here is because it's another vortex, and it was very complimentary to Kauai. And as I mentioned during the COVID, people weren't able to get into Kauai, and you said, but you had people that wanted to do your retreats. You're like, ooh, Sedona. And I was inspired because, and I've been to many of the retreats just to do just a little bit of speaking that you've asked me about this area.
yes,
Being a former tour guide here. And
I love
have-
it when you can come in.
oh, thank you. Again, I'm grateful to do it, but it's fun to be able to teach people about what is here for them. Can you speak to the idea of your retreats? Because what you do is you're teaching people tools that they don't have, and some of the things that happens when they leave. I've seen at the end of the retreat, I've seen the girls at the beginning and the girls at the end. And I'm like, holy cow! There's just the level of appreciation for what they've gone through seems to be epic. And can you speak to that?
Yeah, so it is a quantum leap. People come in at one level and they go out at another level. I had one client say basically 5 days with me was more effective than 5 years with her therapist.
Yeah.
So we're going beyond the mind. I use they're empowerment retreats, so they're on energy and consciousness, and I use primarily 4 specific modalities for that empowerment, which is Kundalini yoga, meditation, sound healing, both with the crystal bowls and a couple other modalities, and then the sacred ceremony on the land. So wherever we are, and each, we don't have a lot of time to go into the different, but we'll take, for example, Cathedral Rock is about relationships, and that's a great place for bringing harmony and clarity into your relationships. So we're not just going there, right? We're there to receive, and the clients are there to receive the activation that's available from there. So that's why things happen so quickly, is because we're in immersion. So we're eating healthy food. It's all inclusive. Everyone's very nurtured. One of my favorite quotes was, I had a lady, I'll just say SC, and she said, Diane's retreat saved my life, healed my heart, and changed my body. So that's the opportunity.
Well, you speak about choice points, being able to teach your clients choice points. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, an example of that would be, I had a friend, Susan, who wanted to buy land on Kauai. Now, Susan is semi-retired. She's also a spiritual leader and teacher, and she also loves going to other events. And I just, that was a choice point. And I said, Susan, you're not going to have a lot of time for yourself, for teaching others or going to these other events, if you're working 4 acres of land on lush Kauai. So I hear your dream, and let me just present the possibility that maybe, yes, you want some sort of ownership or investment on Kauai. A condo might be more in alignment with your dream, something that you can come and enjoy, and you don't have to be working on it 365 days, and you can still have the life and the luxury of free time. And she got it right away. It was a 1 hour, 60-minute counseling consult session, and she was able to understand. So that's a great example of, so if you're in that point where you're about to make a choice, not only getting to the choices, but then like we can actually stop. I can hand you the pair of glasses and just say, gosh, is that really what I want? So yogainspirations.com is the way for people to reach me. The Instagram is Empowerment Retreats, and I'm just totally passionate. I've done 116 of these retreats. I'm probably going to do 216 more in a bunch of different locations. So hope to see you there.
Thank you, Leilani. Again, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.